Hi there, and welcome back to Jediism 101, where we have been discussing uh, what a Jedi realist is and how you may become one if you so choose. As we've previously discussed, a Jedi realist is someone who has taken the ideals of the Jedi from the Star Wars universe that George Lucas created, whether it be from the movies, books, comics, and the TV series, and said, hey, this might not be a bad way to try to live. So many groups out there have compiled lessons and stories and um, figured out what Jedi are really trying to be about and have made a dedication to teaching people how to be Jedi in the real world. What we have been working on thus far has been the 16 basic teachings of the Jedi. Today we are on number 15. Number 15 reads as thus: Jedi are guardians of peace and justice. We believe in finding peaceful solutions to problems. Gifted as we are, we remain negotiators of the utmost ability. We never negotiate out of fear, but never fear to negotiate. We embrace justice, protecting and preserving the fundamental rights of all living creatures. Empathy and compassion are vital to us. It allows us to comprehend the wounds caused by injustice. So, every person on this earth has an idea. Sometimes these ideas are shared. Sometimes these ideas are not. Sometimes people who have ideas that are directly in opposition to other people's ideas. This opposition is conflict. Now, we hope that as intelligent, thoughtful human beings, that these conflicts can be resolved. Resolution, negotiation is the same thing. We basically want to say, it's not necessarily going to a you do you type of situation, but it's how can we coexist in this world together? And I think that's where we run into problems because people in groups, especially, get an idea in their minds and they think, well, everybody should think like this. Well, everybody's not you. You can talk to them, you can try to convince them, but if you really can't, then you really can't. And that's where negotiating and compromise kind of come in the bucket here. So the idea as Jedi as negotiators, to be a truly good negotiator isn't just being forceful in your own opinion, in your own ways of thought. It is knowing and understanding where the other side is coming from, knowing and understanding where you're coming from, and then seeing how where these two ideas oppose and where they get along, and you can work from the commonalities into the differences. Another way of phrasing this is Jedi see both sides of the coin and then hope to land on the edge. Now, in today's sensitivities, we know that there are just some ideas that we know that there are just some ideas that are wrong, but the other side thinks that same thing. And unfortunately, these can turn violent. Well, we hope that the negotiators at the tables of these large groups can work out a solution that's beneficial to both sides. This is where, and this is not just for Jedi. This is for regular people. This is for, hostage negotiators, negotiators between countries, between groups. Heck, neighborhood watch, systems. I don't know. The problem is you're never going to get away from conflict. There's never ever going to be one particular way of doing things. So, as a Jedi, when you see this type of conflict, and I'm not saying that, we need to stick our noses into everybody's business, because that's not right either. But if we feel the need to step in to de-escalate a situation that could be getting worse, then that is what we do. So in this type of terms, it's empathizing. You need to understand where both sides are coming from. If you're on one of those sides, then you need to understand where you're coming from. But you really do need to understand where the other side is understanding. And if you can see what they're trying to get through, take your own preconceived notions and put them in a box. And then figure out what their notions are first about yours or about what they're trying to go for, and say, okay, so this at the basic level is this, this, and this. Awesome. Well, the first couple things, well, we're not going to get along on. But, maybe a couple further down the line, it's like, okay, this is kind of where we align. Now, if you can find that alignment, if you can find the commonalities, you can kind of negotiate forward and seeing if you can fix something. In negotiations, compromises are going to be happening. There's no way around it. The people involved are not going to get everything they want on both sides. Somebody is going to be disappointed. Both parties are probably going to be disappointed. At the same time, if you can try to lessen that disappointment a little bit on both sides, you might be able to get it done. Basically, let's just go extreme here. I would love to win the Powerball, the lottery here in Wisconsin. But say I get a winning ticket, but it's not the big one. But say I still won something. Well, okay, I'm not completely happy because I didn't get the big prize, but I did win some money. So I can't be totally unhappy about it. That's an extreme. But I want to think that you can... I want to say that people want a lot of things, but they often need to look back and say, well, okay, this is what I want as a total, but what am I willing to live with? That's a couple steps down from that. And I think people go with their extremes so often that they forget that there are less than ideal things that they're willing to live with. Like I said, it's compromise. Life is a lot of compromise. I don't want to pay my rent. I think it's expensive. But I do kind of like having an apartment. Because, having a roof over my head for me and my cat is kind of an important thing. So I'm willing to give them money that I make to make sure that I continue to live here. Like I said, you need to find your own extremes, or and find your. Honestly, think of an extreme thing that you want. Then back it down like 4 or 5 steps and say, am I willing to live with this? When I'm job searching, I want this much an hour. I can survive on this much an hour. So ideally, let's try to aim for somewhere here. And then, I can't get everything I want, but I got more than I need. That's an idea. All right, this video is I'm kind of running close on my time here, so make sure that you are kind to animals, people, the environment, yourselves. Drink more water, get some activity in, and as always, my friends, have a great day, and may the Force be with you.